What's up, guys? UFC 322 is on Saturday this weekend, returning back to Madison Square Garden, New York, and we should have a very great fight card ahead of us. Main event, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev for the Welterweight Championship of the world. Co-main, we have Valentina Shevchenko fighting Zhang Weili for the Strawweight Championship of the world. So we have two great title fights where two fighters are seeking double champ status. So let's dive into the card. I'm gonna go through all of the fights, a little bit of predictions of what I think about what might happen, who might win and why, and give my picks for the whole card. So let's start with the early prelims. We have Mr. Susurkaev, hopefully I say that right, versus Makhachev. Makhachev. Sorry if I say that wrong. I'm not most familiar with these two gentlemen, but the Russian cat is coming 10-0 with 8 knockouts. So 7 of them actually have happened in the first round. So I'm kind of lenient towards this guy, and I feel like he's coming a little bit big hype behind him. So without knowing too much of these people or these fighters, I'm leaning towards Susurkaev. Then we have the veteran Angela Hill facing against Kleine. Kleine is an up-and-coming fighter, more of a young blood, coming in with 8-1 record, and Kleine has 2 wins in UFC already, and I would favor him to win this match because Angela Hill is a little bit getting at the end of her career. She's already 40 years old, and Kleine is 25 and has knocked out 2 of his last opponents, coming in hot to MSG. But who knows? Of course, Angela Hill might pull it off from the back pocket, but I'm leaning towards Kleine to win this fight. Then we had Sabatini versus Marsical. From this one, I think it can be a little bit of toss-up. I don't know Marsical so well, but I do know that he is 5-0 in the UFC, so he's definitely coming like to raise the ranks. I have seen Sabatini fight few times. I can't remember too much of those fights, but he definitely has like a well-developed submission game, since he does have 12 submission finishes in his record. From what I know or looked into it a little bit, I think Marsical is a little bit more of a striker. Sabatini is more grappling based, has some good striking as well, but it can be a little bit of toss-up. Of course, being more of a jiu-jitsu guy myself, I would want to favor Sabatini, and basically I would predict that if it goes to the ground, Sabatini probably has an advantage, and if it stays standing, Marsical has a good chance of winning. And then we had our early prelims main fight, Daukaus versus Gerald Meerschaert, GM3. I would lean towards Daukaus in this one because, yeah, Meerschaert is definitely a veteran and has had some like really tough opponents and lots and lots of fights in the UFC. But I would say Meerschaert has lost last of his 3 fights. They were tough fights. He didn't actually like just get run over or anything, but I would lean definitely towards Daukaus to win this fight, and probably Meerschaert will start to be at the end of his career as well and go into retirement soon. That's it for the early prelims. Then we have the prelims itself. Then those are going to be some bangers. From here, I actually am really looking forward to it. And first fight, we have Wellmaker versus Haddon. And I have seen Wellmaker fight at least few times. He has finished both of those fights in the first round with a knockout. So he is definitely my favorite in this fight. Even though I think I have seen Haddon fight and he has looked good. But I remember that Wellmaker is like very, very good, and especially his striking is on point. He's 10-0, no losses, undefeated. Haddon has only one loss. He's 8-1. Also 7 finishes of 4 of them in the first round. So this is probably gonna be very much guaranteed fireworks, and probably Wellmaker's hardest test this far. But still, I'm leaning in towards him winning this fight. Then there's Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. This is a special fight in that sense that I, of course, would really want Tracy Cortez to win for a few reasons. She has been a good fighter in the past, especially had some tough fights against some tough people, but lately she actually has trained with a former teammate of mine back from Oulu, Finland. Shout out to Oulun Kamppailuklubi and the people in there. But yeah, she's been training now with Sunny Brandfors, who is probably gonna be in UFC pretty soon. If you don't know, check it out, and probably you will see a good prospect in that. So of course in that, because of that, I lean towards Cortez, or I would want Cortez to win, but I think Erin Blanchfield is probably gonna win this fight. She is a very, very tough girl, and actually won Rose Namajunas in her last fight. It was a tough fight, and I think Rose could have edged it in the decision, but I think it was like a showcase that Erin Blanchfield is definitely a tough opponent for anyone, because Rose, even though after her relinquishing, or did she, now I'm actually blanking out, did she lose or relinquish her title at the moment, or in the past, but after that hasn't maybe been in the same form as she was when she was the champion. But Rose is definitely one of the best female fighters in the world, and Erin managed to beat her. And actually, Tracy Cortez also fought Rose Namajunas, not in her last fight, but the fight before. And Rose, I think, won that fight pretty decisively. So you should never do MMA math, but I maybe lean towards Erin Blanchfield, even though, of course, I would wish Tracy Cortez to win. But then we had Kopylov versus Mr. Roger Rodriguez, or maybe I misspoke his first name, but aka RoboCop. So this, I think, also is someone is getting knocked out in this fight because Kopylov's 14 wins, 12 of them have come from a knockout, and from what I've seen from him, he is a very dangerous striker in standing. Of course, Rodriguez is as well, a very, very tough striker and has dynamite in his hands. He almost dropped Jared Cannonier multiple times, for example, in their fight, eventually Cannonier winning the fight. But I think this is gonna end with someone probably looking at the ceiling of MSG. So guaranteed fireworks on that one. It was a hard decision to make, but I feel like RoboCop does well in tough striking battles. Of course, like we saw with Cannonier, things can go either way. But I feel like if he's gonna land, he can easily knock basically anyone out. So I maybe slightly favor him over Kopylov, but I think that's gonna be a very tough fight anyway. And then prelims main event is Bo Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira. So this is gonna be, of course, for me as a grappler especially, a good fight, because we have wrestling versus jiu-jitsu. For those who don't know, Bo Nickel is one of the great wrestlers in the American NCAA champion, and Rodolfo Vieira is a jiu-jitsu legend, known especially from his passing and like just being a tough person to beat. Bo lost his last fight to Rene de Ridder, which is also a good jiu-jitsu guy. I would say the Ridder definitely has better striking than Rodolfo, but there's few interesting aspects coming into this fight. Let's see how Bo deals with the loss that he had. I'm guessing that he will do fine, but of course, sometimes, especially those fighters who come undefeated, come up with a lot of hype, they might be a little bit mentally lost if they lose in this fashion that Bo just did, TKO'd by the Ritter. But I think he's a very promising fighter that who will go far, so I think he should deal with that well. Rodolfo, I think he hasn't taken too many people down in MMA, so I think he might struggle to get the fight to the ground with Bo, who is a great wrestler. But I think if it did get to the ground, especially if Rodolfo ends up on top, then Bo just might be fucked because Rodolfo is a very good jiu-jitsu player. And wrestlers usually don't want to be on their back, even though he's good at scrambling back to his feet. On the feet, I don't know, maybe it's quite even on the striking. I don't have a clear advantage on that, but it will be like probably either decided on the feet, or then if it goes to the ground and especially Rodolfo gets on top, then probably he will edge it out. I don't know who I favor in this fight. It's gonna be a very tough one to choose, but if I would have to just toss a name up, probably I would lean into the direction of Bo Nickel, just because I feel like he is in a good trajectory in his career. And yeah, even though he lost, I think he still has a very good potential to be one of the best in that weight class. And then main event time, or actually main card time. Main card time. So we have Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis, and that's gonna be very interesting fight. At least I think Dariush has been on the top of the weight class for a long time, starting to be maybe a little bit more older. He's 36, so he is still in the game, but starts to be at the end side of his career. And Saint-Denis is 29 and just got off from a nice, impressive victory in his last fight against Mario Ruffi. And that was actually very good, because Ruffi came in with a lot of hype and he was basically just murking people in the lightweight division, looking like a Brazilian Conor McGregor that will just rise through the ranks. But Benoit Saint-Denis put an end to that shit, so it was a very impressive fight from Saint-Denis. Beneil Dariush, I think, also is going to bring a different kind of puzzle to solve. He has very good experience fighting top fighters, but I would say with everything that's been going on in the last fights, I would edge especially Saint-Denis to win this fight. I think he will probably take the fight to the ground, control Dariush there, and the standing fighting will be him trying to create chaos, come close and close the distance and take the fight to the ground, where I think he will have an advantage. Then this is also probably gonna be guaranteed fireworks as well. We have Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. So that's gonna be a stand-up war probably, because I feel both fighters definitely favor standing striking. Even though Leon has had two tough losses in his last fights, I feel like Leon will be the more technical fighter. Prates is like very kind of murderous puncher, and he's a little bit more wild. I feel that Leon is the more crisp striker, does very well with the basics, and that's not a like a bad thing to say. I think it's like he knows a little bit more how to make sure he's safe and strike as well, even though of course he can get caught as well, like he did in the end of the fight against Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz at the last round actually rocked him pretty bad, but I think Leon will edge this one out, and probably, I don't know if they will go to the ground just to switch things up, but still, I feel like after his last fight, I think probably Leon has worked on his grappling as well. I'm not sure how Protes's grappling is, but I feel he actually really wants to strike and keep things kind of violent and chaotic. So, of course, if he is able to create that chaos, make Leon fight like a dirty fight in a way, then he has a good chance of actually also catching Leon, but I think Leon will edge it out. And then we have Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. This is also going to be a very, very interesting fight, and probably will decide who is the next one to fight for the title. I think from these guys, they're both very good. Brady is like a motherfucker. He's a very good grappler. He has, especially for like MMA, his grappling is very good. Of course, his only loss is to Belal Muhammad, who is the former champion. After that, I think he's been in a very good tear and actually like beat Leon Edwards, the guy who was fighting before him, in devastating fashion in his last fight. What I think he does actually really, really well is like his half guard, passing and striking, and combining dilemmas from the half guard. Has very good control from there, and I say that that's actually a very good thing, and that's very underutilized or not done so well as it could in MMA. It's one of my things that I lose my mind over these days, is I see someone in a very good position in half guard where they could start to put a tremendous amount of pressure into the other person, pass, get into mount, wear them out. So it's just like he actually does it really well, and a lot of other people don't really know how to use that, and they seem to be very lost. Like, for example, Leon seemed very lost in half guard when they went there, until he eventually got submitted. Morales, in the other hand, he is like a very, very good striker, coming in undefeated. I think he has 13 knockouts, of which of 9 is in the first round. So he definitely has the capability to finish the fight. He has been like, I think in his last fight, he actually knocked out Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert also is a very, very good grappler. So there is a chance, of course, that Morales will catch Brady coming in and knock him out, but I think the fight eventually will be Sean Brady taking Morales to deep waters and kind of drowning him out with all the pressure of the grappling. But if he fails to get close without getting hurt, to like hit in the process, hurt too bad, he might get just knocked out. But my prediction goes to Sean Brady. I think he's gonna be the one fighting for the title next. I think his momentum is just, Morales is a good up and coming fighter, and maybe in a year or two I think he will be also fighting for the title, or at least being very close to it. But at the moment, I think it's Sean Brady's time, and he will be the next one in line to fight for the title. Then, co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko and Zhang Weili. This is definitely like a treat of like one of the best ever to do it in female MMA. Like both have, especially Valentina, she was like just murdering these ladies at one point of her career. She still does, but like at one point there was like no one to just give anything to her. She was just beating everybody up easy. That being said, Weili is also very, very impressive, and she's also being like, especially on the latest matches, she just has looked basically unbeatable in at least her weight class, and that's what she has said now, that this is the thing that actually excites her, gives her a challenge to go up a weight class to fight Valentina, and it's gonna be an interesting fight. Both are very well rounded. Both have great striking. Both have good grappling, and both have both finishes by knockout and submission. So it's gonna be a very interesting fight. I feel like Valentina is a little bit more traditional. She has these specific things that she does. Of course, she does them really well. It's not like I see that what you're doing and I can predict it all. I think most of her opponents have known that, yeah, she will do the Superman punch, she will have the jab coming, she will be kicking with the lead leg, doing the spinning back kicks and spinning back fists as well. But other than that, I think she's kind of very more traditional, moves a little bit more like in a straight line than Weili. Weili is a little bit more of a modern striker in that sense, that she maybe uses a little bit more angles, does things a little bit, sometimes a little bit wild, but she definitely is strong, and seems like when she connects to people that they definitely feel it. So I don't know, I can see this go either way. On the ground, I'm not sure which one would have an advantage. Both are very good, especially lately. Valentina has actually won most of her fights from the ground. Especially like if she gets to a crucifix, that's one of her favorite positions, to just elbow the opponent's face into another dimension. But I don't know, it's gonna be a tough fight. We'll see how Weili manages with the weight and a bigger opponent, because Valentina has fought like bigger people before, like fighting Amanda Nunes, for example, and maybe at least then Valentina herself struggled a little bit with that. So we shall see, but all in all, very tough fight, very good, like some of the best ladies ever to do it. But if I have to again put my money on the line, I would probably slightly favor Weili, but it's gonna be a very, very interesting and good fight. Main event, Jack Della versus Islam Makhachev. This is a very interesting fight, and this is like, of course, it is the main event, but in a way I'm the most excited about this for a few reasons. It's always nice to see Makhachev fighting, and also Jack Della has been on a tear, and I think a lot of people have this feeling that Islam is basically unbeatable. He has like done really, really well, looked extremely good in his fights, and it's been that he has dominated basically everybody he has fought, and he has fought a lot of people with different backgrounds, etc. So it's like he has proved himself definitely. Maybe we haven't seen Jack Della dominate in the same fashion, but I think some people might underestimate him just a little bit. Everybody talks about how Makhachev is gonna be probably the better grappler, and I'm not exactly so sure about that. Jack Della actually trains a lot with Greg Jones, And from what I've heard from Greg Jones, he has said that Jack Della is actually like a very, very, very good grappler. And I'm not sure how playful that one spar that they had was, but there is actually even a video of Maddalena choking Greg Jones to sleep. So who knows? Because Greg knows how to play them games and just plays around, and sometimes he might get caught when he's a little bit playing around. So who knows actually? But I'm expecting to Jack being actually very, very good, or have a very good answer to Islam's grappling. That also being said, you could see in the fight between Volkanovski and Makhachev how even though Volkanovski was smaller, he's strong as fuck though anyway. He's like a former rugby player and basically weight, I think like a heavyweight. So yeah, but in that fight, Volkanovski actually managed to do really well against Islam's grappling. So same grappling coach, bigger person, and all the praise that I have heard from Greg Jones about Jack, I feel like it's not gonna be as one-sided as some people might think. That being said, I would probably give Jack Della a little bit of favor in the standing. I'm not saying that Makhachev is bad at striking. He's definitely good and knows how to play the game to close the distance, get the fight close to the fence most of the times because they have definitely a great fence wrestling system that Khabib also used and showed how effective it can be. He can shoot in the open as well, and actually like took Poirier down with that single leg in the middle of the cage, and eventually choked him from that scramble. So anything and everything can happen, but I feel like this is probably gonna be Islam's toughest fight. It's not gonna be as easy that he will run through just Jack Della. Of course, I might be wrong, and Islam just will show up and prove me wrong. But I just have a feeling that this will be a war, might go even all 5 rounds. At least will probably go few rounds. Of course, a quick stoppage is possible, but all in all, I actually maybe favor just a little bit more Jack Della, or at least give him a very good chance to win this fight because all of the things I just mentioned. And I don't know, Islam will come to fight and won't give up, and is gonna probably take even Jack Della down sometimes, threaten to choke him out, take his back, or like right on the back at least. But I feel like Jack Della might be able to just stand him up and do really well in the grappling, surprise some people with that. So that's why I favor him just a little bit to win this fight. But I'm expecting like an absolute war and also some very, very technical, high IQ fighting. And that's why I'm very excited for this fight. But yeah, those are my predictions for the upcoming UFC. Let me know what you think. Does anything that I said make any sense? And all in all, thank you for watching, and let's all watch UFC this weekend and see how it goes.